Quiet on set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with your host, Benji Weatherly. It's the podcast where you learn absolutely nothing.
All right, let's potty. I'm Benji Weatherly, and we're on episode, let's just guess. We're on like 12, 13, probably.
Oh, this is like,
season 2?
I think 20.
We're on like 20 because I smoked too much weed. Yeah, so we're like on season 2 no matter what at the end. That's why we're doing this right now, a little wrap up. I wish we could do 50 a year, but until we get actual budgets and more free time, because me and Annie work full time doing other stuff. But we're coming in hot for season 3. I'll tell you right now, we have a banger of a last one. I'm not going to divulge it, or should we divulge, or
I
whatever?
think we're going to release this one first, so let's keep it a secret. But
Okay.
I'll say it's someone that everybody's been asking for.
Yeah.
Since the first episode. It's always, when was this person coming on? And we finally got
He's
them.
related to a sheep. Let's put it that way.
Sheep.
It's another animal that looks like a sheep. Okay. So let's start from the top. Season 2. The first season was a maiden voyage kind of thing. It was just trying to get our feet wet, just trying to figure out what we're doing with this whole thing. And, you know, I knew podcasts would be interesting for me because I never stopped talking. And I have a lot of interesting friends. And, you know, I'm bored a lot. I mean, I literally have to be doing stuff all day or I go crazy. So the podcast thing really makes sense and I enjoy it. And I have the best producer ever that's smarter than me, more punctual than me. She does everything more than me. So makes a greater two people making a greater thing. So Annie Graziano is my co-host producer. She does the heavy lifting. I'm just heavy and she's the heavy lifter. The production level has gotten so great because of her, and she's going to help us out with reminding me what we did this season. So what was the first one in season 2? Can you bring that up?
Our season premiere was Greg Browning.
That's right.
So we had a good, long chat with him. Very different time when we interviewed him.
Yeah. I mean, for all the people out there that don't know, Greg Browning is not only like my brother, but my favorite person to ever walk this earth. And he got diagnosed with ALS. If you go on GoFundMe, there's you can help out that way.
Yeah, we'll put the link to Greg's GoFundMe in the description info.
Yeah, and it would be really nice to donate or do anything, send him a message or anything, because it's, you know, life is so short and life is so special, and he deserves all of it. He deserves everything he's ever gotten and more. And we love Greg Browning, and we're going to spend as much time as we can. We have January 4th. I'm not going to tell you where or anything, but we're doing a rad punk karaoke thing for him, which is going to be insane. As you know, Greg Browning is basically the reason why Pennywise and Offspring and all those bands were in Taylor Steele's movies. I mean, Greg has created a path for so many of us. When I say us, he made The Drive-Thru. He produced and directed and created that. He made Bodyguard movies forever. He was Tatiana, Carissa, a bunch of huge surfers' careers, and he was a coach and filmer for them, made movies of all them. And I mean, that's just the small things he's done. If you can believe that, those are the small things Greg Browning has achieved.
Not to mention raising 2 awesome
unbelievable
sons.
Kids. We got Parker, where he's now the lifeguard surfer out in Palm Springs Club. And I mean, there's no better place to be at 22 and ripping. He's absolutely going to be one of the best surfers in the world. And Drew is now a police officer, right?
Yep. In Arizona. You just got married.
Yeah, congrats on that,
Shout
Drew.
out Drew and Karina.
And yeah, just made 2 of the most amazing people ever. And I like to say that he made me and Donovan the 2 stepbrothers, or whatever the hell people probably call us, dick faces, whatever. He had a big role in my career. He made Life as a Movie. That was my one-off movie that I came up with. But he's just been there for me, and he's the most important person I've ever had. So big shout out to Greg Browning. I wish our podcast that time, I was so stoned and tired that day, and I remember not even knowing what to do. We were just kind of scrambling, and I wish it was more intel and more deep and stuff, and because we could go on for days talking.
I mean, we could have him on season 3.
I think that might be the call, because we'd like to get an update on how he's doing, and a lot of people out there kind of wondering what's going on with Greg, so that could be cool to catch up with him and talk about that if he's willing to do that.
Totally.
But all our prayers go out to him, and it's not about what happens next with ALS. It's what happens every day now and what we do and spend time together and just enjoy life together. So, Greg, you're going to get annoyed seeing my phone calls, but love you, buddy. And what was our second one?
So next we had Taylor Knox.
Taylor Knox. For all you out there that don't know who that is, he's basically like the Trevor Hoffman of surfing. He's he's the only guy in the Momentum crew that was a jock. So if you imagine we're in high school and all of us are sitting at those weird tables trying to like be normal and stuff, and he would come in with a tank top and go like, let's go. And he was always that guy, and now he's turned into, I think, the best guy in the Momentum crew, because when you're with him, he's smiling the whole time, giving you the biggest hugs, and he's one of the best surfers of all time. He's had an amazing career. He's from San Diego, and him and Machado, I would say, are the goats of California surfing. I mean, if you really break it down, those are the two best longevity and styles and everything. And Taylor, we love him. I don't even remember what we talked about with any of these guys, but I know it was good.
I know the one thing that stood out to me about Taylor's episode was he talked about how he broke his back.
Oh my God!
And
totally.
was surfing he surfed like an NSSA contest or something, like a very short time after that.
Yeah, he actually had, what was it, some crazy back surgery where the doctor said there's no way you're surfing again.
Yeah, they were like,
hold my beer.
Yeah, they were like, you're never gonna do sports again.
Yeah.
Let alone surf.
Yeah, what an incredible story that he became one of the best surfers ever after that whole incident, and doctors telling him that. It's another person's life is a movie, and just an all-around. I mean, right now he has more clips on his Instagram surfing than any 22-year-old, and he's 52.
Oh yeah, he's always posting.
He's just jacked. Awesome. He works out every day. He's one of those guys that doesn't have excuses for life. He's one of those guys that when you see what he does, it inspires, and just an all-around great person, and obviously is my little crew of the Momentum crew, or whatever you want to call us. He was definitely one of the older brothers. It was Pat O'Connell and him are the oldest of the crew, and Chester, but Chester passed away, R.I.P. And he was always, that guy. He was always the guy that you would be, if he was around, you felt safe. So yeah, miss that guy.
Yeah, we love Taylor. The next, I think we had Lily Miola.
Nice.
One of our, have we had another girl on this season?
Yeah, that's the one thing that we got a problem with is Let's Poddy is racist towards women. I don't know what it is.
It's very sexist.
I just think that women don't want to be on it. No, that's not true.
No.
I just got to hang out with girls more. No, that's not true. But yeah, we do. And Lily
was great.
I mean, her name is a flower, and she is the closest thing to a human flower. She dresses like flowers. She sings like an angel. She had a cool experience. She was an amazing musician right out of the gate. Matt Miola is one of the best aerialist pro surfer, just insane all around freaking nugget. He hunts, he fishes. He's the guy's guy. Like, as far as men are concerned, Matt is the coolest motherfucker ever. And that's because I don't hunt. I'm not that rad. I don't do good airs anymore. Like, I look up to this kid, and better person than all of what I just said. One of the best human beings ever. And his mom was one of the most amazing women ever that passed just in the last 5 years. I think it was 5 years ago. And she was always the most beautiful, amazing woman to be around. And then Lily having this career start because, and I don't know if she divulged exactly how it started when she was 12 or 8 or whatever, but Willie Nelson had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And the fact that when she was 12, or I think that's how old she was, she went to a cafe and asked Willie if he would show up and watch her, and he got on stage with her and jammed out at 12 with Willie Nelson, and it hasn't ended. It's like, so from that story, her mom passed, so she had to put her music on the side for a while and take care of her mom. And then when her mom passed, she's like, you know what, I'm gonna take this on again, which we're all so grateful for, especially because how much her mom would have loved that. And then she's on this. The coolest part is, I'm getting chicken skin. Is I saw it randomly. I just YouTube, because I don't have normal TV. YouTube clip comes up and it's all Lily Miola, American Got Talent, gold ticket or something. I'd said on there, and I'm like, gold ticket? What the fuck is this? And I click it on, And look, the hairs will not stop sticking up. She sings this song she wrote that's so unbelievable. And that guy, Simon Cowell, which makes this whole story amazing, literally stood up and gave her a standing O and said it was the most amazing thing ever. And you know that guy's the Karen of all human beings. And all he wanted to do was say, like, you're canceled or whatever the fuck that guy does. But she got this golden ticket, which means she goes right to the finals and all this stuff. And I called her right away. I was like, what the hell happened? I didn't know this happened. And then I started doing stand-up the same time she started touring. So we started doing it the same events throughout. We went to Montauk. We did an event. She came to my comedy here in Encinitas, and I would always go to her little shows that she started. And just to see that she's following her dream, and, you know, she's with a guy, her boyfriend is Forrest, and he runs that June Shine. And they live right here in Encinitas, and they're just the coolest people. They're coming tonight for dinner.
Oh, awesome.
So we're having a barbecue tonight with a bunch of really cool people. So I look cool to the neighborhood. I don't know. I try to impress.
Got to get your rep going.
I got to get my rep in this neighborhood. But yeah, and then after Lily, where did we go after that?
I had Mayor Tony Kranz.
Oh, that's
your
right.
best buddy.
So I'm trying to start this, not trying. I keep saying trying. I'm opening a restaurant in Encinitas. So right there's the joke. Right? This is one of my stand-up jokes because it's impossible. I put him on just because I heard of that he was a surfer from the 70s, grew up his whole life in Encinitas, and I am starting this restaurant. And I thought it'd be a cool opportunity to put, because obviously I'm the least political person that's ever walked this earth. In fact, when someone starts talking politics, I absolutely gurgitate puke from my mouth. I almost throw up. So I said, let's just put somebody on here that's political, but almost not, if you will, because it's so silly and it's just a little surf town. So we got a little insight to the political side of a small surf town in California that now is one of the hardest places to start businesses, try to buy a house. It's the most expensive place in the world. And I chose this place because I wanted, really hard task, and I got that. So thank you for that. But yeah, Tony's story was cool. His family printing shop has been here forever, and he ran that. Then he worked in the city council for a decade, I think he said. And yeah, it was just cool to hear. I always wondered, like, every one of these towns in America has a mayor, and I mean, I wonder how many. We should Google how many mayors there are in the United States. It must be
a lot.
I mean, 20,000. I don't even know, but it was really interesting to find out how this whole dynamic works with communities, and how every one of these little surf towns has its own mayor and community and da-da-da. So it was fun to get some insight on that. Obviously, it's the last thing I'd want to do with my life, but it's cool that people are out there trying to make things better, like roads and schools and things, because we definitely need the smaller political vibe, because the big ones is obviously just a swamp of money and stealing and corruption. So, yeah, it was kind of fun. It's different.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was the best part about it was having Tony Hawk show up right when Tony was leaving for the next podcast that day.
Oh, yeah.
And he texted me. He's like, what the hell am I on this podcast if Tony Hawk's doing these things? And I was laughing so hard because that was like the ultimate celebrity to come in for Tony Kranz, because he's known Tony his whole life. And he's like, that's the biggest celebrity we got. So that was, I guess, a lead-in to Tony. Tony was kind enough to drop into the Poddy. And
he arrived in his spaceship.
He arrived exactly. He arrived in this car that only him and, like, I think Elon Musk have. And it was just, it was insane, because just a little insight. This is how famous Tony has become. The gardener in this random parking lot that we had our studio, screaming about 150 yards away, Tony, Tony, and he's running towards him to get a photo. And I was like, wow, that's pretty big time, because I've known Tony since I was a little, I don't even know how young, but I wrote for Rusty. And the coolest stories, he tells it on that podcast, is skateboarding in the 90s, especially vert. I should just say vert skating in the 90s got to a point where you wouldn't even get paid. Like, you could be the best guy, which Tony was, one of the most legendary vert skaters of all time. And he rode for my surf company that I rode for, and I was getting paid more than Tony Hawk. And I was a 16, 17-year-old little kid making coin. And the skate team it was Willie Santos. I remember that. He was a really good street skater, so he was getting a grip of money. But Tony was vert, so he wasn't making anything. And him telling the story thoughtfulness and stuff. And for him to come onto our podcast, and he did a surf movie with me like 15 years ago that I did, Life as a Movie. And he was a little bit on the edge of, I'm not going to say conceited, but he was making so much money at the time. He had managers I had to talk to. I had to get first class tickets. I had to do a lot more than I did for Slater and the other guys in the movie. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, he went from the bottom to the top. And I totally respected that because, just for him to come and such a big name at that point to help out was rad. And then to see him now doing podcast, and now his podcast is unbelievable with that guy, Jason Ellis, and to see how good he was. Like when I got him on the Poddy, I didn't know what we were going to talk about. I've known him for 25 years or something, but I didn't know what, I never know what the hell I'm going to say on these things. But he took it and he ran with it, and he's so articulate and he's so thoughtful, and he talked about a lot of things. Like he's taking care of that young girl's vert skater.
Oh, yeah.
And he broke his femur, right? Mm-hmm. And within a year, he skated too early. They had to redo the surgery. And now I'm watching clips of him every day. And seriously, he's skating better now than I've ever seen him when he was a kid. And he's 55. Well, how old is Tony now? He's got to be in his 50s. He's Googling it. But yeah, this guy has come back from this surgeries. He's done all this stuff. He's been in skateboarding for 45 years, probably. And it's insane to see that the biggest name in our sports, it's Kelly and Tony.
Tony's 55 years old, by the way.
Oh, I nailed that. 55 and straight up killing it on vert ramp still. And just inspiring to see him not be douchey and be who I would be. If I was Tony Hawk and I had all that money and stuff, and some jerk-off little surfer kid said, hey, want to potty? I would tell him to kick rocks. So thank you, Tony, for being humble. I'm poor, so I'm humble. I will be until I'm rich, so don't get me rich. Yeah. I'll be fucking out of here.
I know that episode is really cool for me too, because Tony was huge in like the 90s and 2000s, which was when I was growing up. Is when he was all over everything. Like when I was, 10, 12 years old watching like Disney Channel, the like special celebrity guest or cameo or whatever was always Tony Hawk.
Yeah, that's funny.
So just growing up, he was like,
he made The Simpsons. Like that's like the biggest thing you can have as a human being, right?
Yeah.
Make The Simpsons.
And then like even beyond that, he like became like the whole meme of like people don't recognize Tony, and they tell him all the time like, "Oh, you look like Tony Hawk," and he's like, "No, really?" Like, you're kidding.
I love that story.
So that was probably like one of the only ones so far that I've actually fanned out over and been nervous to meet our guest. And I'll put myself on blast here. I did have Tony sign a skate deck, and he was super cool about it. Yeah. I didn't even notice that. And he that is gonna move with me for like the rest of my life.
Oh, cool.
Like that is like my most prized possession. Every time someone comes over, they're like, "Oh, cool, you have a Tony Hawk like skate deck on your wall. That's cool." And then they look at it a little closer, like, "You're kidding me. Tony actually signed that for you because my name's on it?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. He did. I love that. That's the coolest thing about life, is that the things that you love in life, they don't have to matter to anybody else. And that's why in action sports, I get more fanned out on like a motocross guy than I would a Brad Pitt or anybody like that, because I have so much respect for these guys, because I've been through it, and you have such a common thread that like I would rather have Tony Hawk's signature than, like I said, Brad Pitt or something, just because that's what I'm into. All around good guy. Hopefully we'll get him back. and those are the kind of guys that have helped us get the people to watch, because we don't have marketing money. We don't have a way to get this thing out there unless our guests have really good followers. And he has 7 million people or something, I think.
Yeah, so it's insane.
That's insane.
By the way, if anyone wants to sponsor us.
Yeah, we're looking for sponsors for season 3. To be completely honest, we've been doing this out of pocket. Well, I've been doing this out of pocket, and she's doing a lot of work for free. And yeah, any help will do. We don't want to be that GoFundMe nightmare people, but any sponsors that are relatable to what we're representing. Dark Arts Surfboards in Ponto helped us out in the beginning. Whalebone Magazine helped us out for a little bit. They got me the equipment. Just anything to get going. So this next season, we're definitely, if we want to keep going, we're going to need help. But that's a weird cry for help.
All right, so after that we had Steve Sherman.
Yes, Steve Sherman. I like how diverse we are as far as how different those 3 people were. We had the mayor, Tony Hawk, and then now Steve Sherman is not only one of the best surf photographers, kind of, especially from our generation. He's a little bit older, probably 10 years older than us, but he was around us and he was, in that age crowd. And he had this one thing that set him apart, and he explains it in the podcast, but the black and white photo, portrait style. But anyway, he has a couple people they looked up to, and he brought that into the surf world. And he was with me, Kelly, Rob, the whole Momentum crew through our whole careers. He shot me since I was 14 until whatever. We almost got the cover of Surfer Magazine, ended up being a center spread, and now it's hanging on my wall. It's like me walking out to pipe when I'm 14. And just always got the photos. So he didn't go out. When he would be on tour, he followed Kelly for 15 years on tour, and he would show up to the event and shoot the stuff that wasn't in the water. So he was our lifestyle, black and white, incredible point of view kind of thing. He had all the Channel Islands ads. So if you saw Channel Islands ads from 95 to recently, and there were black portraits and black and whites of Slater and Curran and everybody, were always Sherman. And he was a really good skateboarder. He's a great surfer and great person, and he's still around and still killing it. And
now his work is it's all over the Palm Springs Surf Club.
Exactly.
So if you go rent out a cabana at the Palm Springs Surf Club,
you'll see his photos.
You'll see the awesome portraits that he has.
That's a
good walls.
Good point right there. I saw those out there. I got so blessed to have a couple of photos in that thing. That's really cool.
Yeah, he was super rad.
Yeah, and he's going to be putting some of that stuff in my new restaurant down the street in Encinitas. Sorry, and just an all around awesome guy. You could go online and go on Sherm, I think is his website, and you can order some of his prints. If you have a new house or a cool like man cave or anything like that, he has some of the coolest portraits of surfing ever. It's not what you would think of when you think of like an empty wave and all that other stuff. It's the stuff that you wouldn't think of. And that's like, he has this legendary photo where it's a photo of Oceanside with all these broken boards, and it's a graveyard, and there's a perfect peak in the background. And it's just, it looks like it's set up, but it isn't. So that's what makes it so cool. It's like the Tim Burton fucking surf, graveyard. It's kind of cool. He has a lot of good photos. So go online and check that out.
Yeah. And then next we had John Ashworth.
Nice.
Our favorite golfer.
So John Ashworth, I'm a huge golfer, like meaning that I'm 220 pounds. And he's probably the biggest name in apparel for golf ever. His first company. Fiddle. God, he's gonna kill me for this. Fidra. It's Fidra, I think, and it's a little island off of Scotland. And he started that, and Ernie Els was his guy, and that's another huge golf celebrity. And Kelly actually, Slater did the photo shoots. So it has Kelly in the ocean hitting water and stuff. And because me and Kelly are super into golf. So Kelly was in the catalog for it, and Fidra. And so he did that with Quicksilver for a long time. And then that thing blew up where Solomon Skis and all these other things got involved. So they sold that company. Now he started another company that's absolutely killing it. It's called Link Soul. And they're big. They have some of the biggest golfers. But the cool thing about his story is he owned a golf course in Scotland where golf started, and then sold that. And now in his hometown here in Oceanside, he's from Escondido, but at Oceanside, right next to it, is this old golf course. It's called Goat Hill, and it's named after Kelly. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a really, really old ghetto course that looked like Afghanistan. Like when you tee off in the first hole, it was all dirt, and like where you hit it, you couldn't even find it because it was just so bad. But I always liked it because it was only $5, and you could just go out there and screw around. He bought that golf course, used the city's money because it's a public facility, and made it beautiful. And now he has some of the best golfers in the world. Slater goes there. Slater has his golf tournament, his charity golf tournament every year there now. And just to see him out there working, this is a 62-year-old man that's given his life to golf, and now he gets to work on a golf course and like tractors, and he's building, and he seems like it's the happiest time of his life, and he deserves it because he's busted his ass for so long. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really cool to catch up with him. And then to start like our next season, I'm going to have probably Adam Scott or a couple of my other big golf, celebrity friends. And so that was the lead in for my golf addiction, if you will. So yeah, it was nice to have John Ashworth, and we definitely need to get some of his golf stuff for you. They have slacks and killer shirts, and yeah, we need to do that. So John, if you're listening, let's get a box. Let's go. And then who we got after Johnny?
After him, we had our moto guys, Colby Raha and Jeremy McGrath.
Wow, do we do those back to back?
They were like, there's a couple between. I should figure. We should talk
so
about
Colby Raha was actually introduced to me by Annie. Annie does photo shoots, films, and all kinds of different things with motocross. She does it with a lot of sports, surfing, and she does not cartoons, but toy companies. She has a lot, but mainly action sports has been your thing. I mean,
that's what I'd like to do full time. Yeah. It just doesn't pay quite as much.
And you could tell how the whole Colby thing came about. You met him on a photo shoot, probably when you guys were. Is this a long time ago or how long?
So Colby and I met a couple years ago on a shoot up in Santa Maria for his movie that just came out like 2 months ago, Narnia. Because the director of the movie, Jay Schweitzer, knew my boss, John DeTemple, and so he invited John and said basically, if you have another filmer that wants to come, like, bring them, we need extra help. So I got to go. And I had never been around moto at all or seen it before that because I grew up in a surf town that was at least an hour away from any dirt biking courses or whatever. So seeing all of that and going straight from never seeing dirt biking to seeing all the top freestyle riders hitting 200-foot whips, backflips, jumps, like everything was absolutely insane.
That's so cool. Yeah, it must be to see that. When the first time I ever saw the freestyle moto, I was like, just the noise like that already was shocking, but to see them how high, and I grew up with Evel Knievel when I was a little kid, and the bikes they used were so shitty, and there was nothing going on except death, and just to see the way they can manipulate the bike and do everything, and they're so high in the air, and if anything goes wrong, it's a year in the hospital. Like, oh yeah, it's not like,
and we saw that a couple times. During the movie, it was insane.
Yeah, he told that one of his stories that he didn't really want to talk about, but he did because it's like when I talk about surfing, they want to know about how many of my friends have drowned, how many sharks I've seen. Those are the only thing they ask. They don't ask you about like anything about your boards you ride or any of that. It's just those two things. How many people died. And so we wanted to ask him how his worst crash was. Yeah. And you don't want to ask that because it's kind of a lame thing, but at the same time, it's interesting because you're like, fuck, dude, that's the scariest part about this. Yeah. And she asked him about it, and he divulged kind of a creepy insight, which kind of tripped me out because I wasn't thinking that's what he was going to talk about. But it was, he had a GoPro on, and when he crashed,
it recorded all the audio.
Recorded all the audio of him screaming and, fuck. Sorry to cuss, but I can't only imagine how much pain he was in. And he was just, you could hear the screaming and everything. And I thought how eerie that must have been hear it, especially the editor. Like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. That was insane. And then I got to say, one of the things that tickled me the most was we were a good luck charm. He talks about it and he goes, yeah, my big event coming up. I just recovered from my big wipeout. I hate saying wipeout. Hit my big crash. Ventura, I have this big X Games. It's like it's like my home because he's from inland LA. So it's like his home turf. And, he does this one event.
Quarter pipe high air.
The quarter pipe high air. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's so freaking nuts. So they go up a quarter pipe that's literally probably 30, 40 feet. I mean, how big is their quarter pipe? He says it in the podcast, but imagine the ramp's 30 feet. Then he's another 30 feet above that. So he's 60 feet in the air, and they tweak out where the motorcycle is upside down and they're just barely hanging on, but their head's looking down at the earth. and they have to, they have to top each other. So if a guy goes 42 feet, you got to go 42 in an inch.
They set a new world record
And
every single year.
So luckily I watched, and I'm like, oh, here it is. And he had the lead, and then this guy beat him by a lot. It was like 2 more inches higher, and I'm like, oh no, he's not going to win. And then his last run, and got up and broke the record. Oh, yeah. And it was
he always
so
says he just
cool.
turns his brain off on that last run.
Jesus
and that's,
Christ.
that's why he does it, because
he's got that.
He's the guy that's like, I don't care what happens to me. If it means I'm going to pull the jump, then I'm going to do it.
But he's not out of control. That's what's dope. He's crazy a little bit. You have to be to do all this stuff. Sure. But he's so talented that he can be crazy and pull it off, which he did. And he won the gold, and I was really excited for him. But that's like the family of Let's Poddy, is you get proud of these achievements that they're just because they're on our podcast. We're like, I was a part of it. But yeah, a big shout out to Colby, because that was really cool that he talked about it and he was excited about it, and then he ends up accomplishing it. So it's like, as a pro athlete, to be able to, it's all work, envision, and make it happen. And then when it's done, you're like, oh, I did it. And shout out Colby, good job.
Yeah,
and
congrats to Colby.
Stay safe. Married.
Got married too. Is having a kid.
He's having a kid already?
Like next month.
This is all happening within when
X Games released a movie.
Ago. How long has it been?
We had him on in April.
So it's been like, dude, he's had a lot happen there, Colby.
8 months.
Started a family. Won the gold.
He's had a big year.
Yeah. So shout out, and he has all kinds of cool stuff coming up on his videos and stuff. So look out for Colby.
Yeah. And then so the other side of that sport, going from the freestyle motocross to like the racing side of motocross, we had Jeremy McGrath.
Yeah. So for people that don't know anything about motocross, supercross, I should call it, but Jeremy McGrath is, God, the GOAT. I mean, there's so many ways to call it the GOAT. I don't want to say that, but he's the best racer, most accomplished racer pretty much of all time. He's one of the nicest, sweetest family guys ever, too. He has 2 girls, so he's just sweet as hell. And old friend of mine, when I met him, I was pretty young. I was like 22. And Kanani Rob, another pro surfer of mine, friend, he was actually sponsored by Fox and stuff, and he could really, really go on a dirt bike. And he goes, hey, you want to come to San Diego sports arena? Not sports arena, the big Jack Murphy Stadium. The biggest thing I've ever seen. I didn't know Supercross was the biggest sport in the world. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, you want to go see this motor thing? And I was like, sure. And it's a stadium, you guys. Imagine a football stadium full of people in this dirt track of jumps and everything, a racetrack. And I've never seen anything like it. And I go and I'm watching it, and he goes, yeah, my boy Jeremy's he's the #1 guy. And so I didn't know what was going on. The lights turn off, and all the other riders that were against him in the finals are like backstage or some shit. He comes out on the first opening, and the light shines on him, and they're all Showtime, Jeremy McGrath. And he has like his own song, and he goes and he rides the whole thing, and he's like waving to the crowd. And I'm like, the fuck is this? I go, I couldn't imagine if the Pipe Master started and Kelly comes out by himself and he's like, dun, 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 and it's like light show and shit. You'd be like, what is going on? This guy's going to lose and look like a dick. Yeah. And not only did he not lose, he won by like 20 laps. And I was like, oh, so
there's a reason he's the best.
Yeah, and they call him Showtime. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, man, if your name is Showtime and they're getting the show. But gosh, it was so fun to listen to his story. I had a lot of people text me and message me and stuff and say how grateful they were, because he doesn't really do a lot of podcasting and all that stuff. So it was a really, really cool chat, and he brought us into his beautiful home with all his trophies. And I mean, it was 20 or 40. It was this big. I mean, it was a little baby, but he refurbished it. His dad seems like a great human being, obviously, because Jeremy turned out great. Legend guy, and stoked to have him for sure. Yeah,
Jeremy was awesome. And then after that, we had your stepbrother.
Oh, that's right, Dimebag Donnie. I got to say, that was the easiest podcast. I mean, all you had to do was wind him up. Just wind him up, and he was going. Yeah, Donnie, for the people that don't know, me and Donnie are are kind of like stepbrothers. We've done so much together. We rode for Billabong when we were teenagers to going on the drive-thru for 10 decades, 10 years. He's kind of slid me into a lot of his shows doing comedy. I don't know. I can't say enough about Donovan. I mean, he's one of my, not one of my best friends. He's one of my best humans. When you call someone your best friend, it's almost not enough, if they mean that much to you, like Greg.
He's your brother.
He's my brother. I mean, I'm so grateful to have him in my life. He's the most thoughtful, kind person. Him and Greg. Like, I've never had a problem with those guys. And I have a problem with everybody. No, I'm just kidding. But there's such amazing guys. And right now we're going through a lot in our family, and Donovan's there for all of it. And he's so, coherent and engaging and thoughtful, man. I mean, I think me and Donnie, the reason why our lives have been so great is because for some reason we're thoughtful. And I got to say, Donovan's even more thoughtful than I, and I'm so proud to say that he's one of my boys. I love Donovan, and I think he should be a regular on the Poddy. Every year we should have Donovan.
I would love to have Donovan. Yeah. Donovan and Kalani, honestly, we should just keep having both of them back.
Kalani's so fun. Kalani's fun. Oh, we're coming up to him too, right?
Yeah,
because we've had Kalani on both seasons, right?
Yes.
Yep. And the first one I did film with Kalani before we jump away from Donovan. Sorry, Donnie. I can't wait to keep going with you doing stand up. She actually came to the Donovan show the first year. Then we went it again in the next year. But yeah, we're going to do a lot more. I open my restaurant soon, and I have a stage, and we're going to have Donovan's going to do the opening of the restaurant and all that. So Donovan, we love you. You're the best. Who's after Donnie?
So after Donnie, we had Miles Doughty. Which actually, so funny thing about Miles, so for anyone that doesn't know, Miles is the singer of Slightly Stupid. So at like my full-time work right now, we're actually doing his music video for the song he just released, Got Me on the Run.
Oh, with Stick
That's
Figure?
featuring him, Stick Figure, and Pepper.
How cool is that video
So,
gonna be?
my gosh, dude, it's going to be the trippiest, like most incredible thing. It's
Is
already
it just
out.
one song or an album?
Yeah. No, it's just the single. But they've already released it. It's really good. Go listen to it. I've listened to it a million times.
Oh, no way. I'm going to listen to it right after this.
Doing the editing. And I will say this is probably the first music video I've done where after like doing editing on it, I don't hate the song. Like I will still listen to it on my own. So you
guys, you're done with the video?
Not quite. We just shot the rest of it. So now we're piecing together the edit. It should be done by the end of the year.
Did you end up seeing Miles, or was it just all footage sent to you guys?
No, we just had his footage sent to us, but it's awesome.
That's pretty ironic.
Those
right?
three personalities together are all incredible.
Yeah, and his last name is Doughty, and his my mom's maiden name is Doughty, and it's spelled the same and everything. So we haven't done our family trees and stuff, but there's a good chance that he could be a part of my family, which is so random. Because when we do hang out, we do kind of look like stepbrothers.
I could see it.
But yeah, Miles, what a cool story. For all you don't know, Slightly Stupid is, I guess you call it ska, reggae?
It's like reggae.
Like
There's also
Iration,
kind
all those
of
bands. What is that
There's
genre?
some punk and funkish.
I just love it. It's like surf
too.
reggae to me. I don't know. It's just it's like if you grow up in Hawaii, I guess that's the language of Hawaii. Even though they're from California, that's what we listen to in Hawaii all the day. But him and Kyle, the other singer, they both do I don't know, call that a duet, but they both sing different songs, kind of like Blink, where Mark and Tom go back and forth, and they contrast so well together. They're so different, and they grew up in OB, Ocean Beach, right in San Diego, Point Loma area. They've never left, except they got nicer houses.
Yeah.
And they totally deserve that. They're hardworking, incredibly talented humans, and such a cool small town vibe you get when you're around him. I mean, he showed up at my house and gave me a water thing that you smoke weed out of, and we just chilled out. And we literally was one of the easiest podcasts I've ever done. He jammed music, we hung out, we golfed together. He's just one of those people that you don't have to try to be friends with. He's just that guy. He's just so easy, and he's so humble. And when you hang out with him, the last thing you ever thought is you're going to see him on stage in front of 20,000 people, which I did July. So after we did him, it must have been June or something, because a month later I got to see him in his home stadium, which is called Petco Park, where the Padres play, and they were the headliners, and he gave us on stage passes, the whole thing. And I'm looking at his hometown of 30,000 people, And I'm looking at him, and his daughter he has I think 3 daughters, 2 or 3 daughters. I can't. It's going to be bad. I don't remember that, but they're on stage dancing, and they're the cutest little girls. And I'm looking at his face, and he's got the biggest smile. And I talked to him after the concert, and he's like, "That was one of the coolest moments of my life." And I go, "I hope so, right?" But I got chicken skin again. But that's what's so rad about life is when someone's achieved even the greatest goals that they put themselves through, but they can still appreciate that moment. That's when you have what people call success, because success isn't the money part. It's the part where you appreciate what's happening around you at the moment. And I watched it, and I was like, fuck, dude, I couldn't be more proud, because I just fell in love with this guy a couple months before, going, dude, this is going to be one of my new best friends. And the coolest part about this guy, and the reason why I'm so attracted to him, and not in that way, but is that he is the best father ever. And he sends me photos all the time still of them winning softball games, soccer games. He's the coach for all of it. Oh, yeah. And this is a guy that travels and is around groupies and people and just getting everyone's going, "You're so rad." And never in 1 second of it does it matter to him. Only thing that matters to him is creating rad music and being happy and taking care of his family. So big shout out to Miles. New FOMO, because I'm not with him every single day. I'm always missing out.
Yeah, no, we love Miles. The next one was actually an episode that I did by myself because Benji was too busy traveling. So
went to Europe. We had to get one in the bag because we're trying, you guys. Let's be honest. I know consistency is everything, and I know letting you guys down every once in a while because I have so much going on and I travel a bit. We're going to be better with this, and we're
already a lot better than we were first season.
Yeah. So she stepped up, and I thought it was a good opportunity too because I want Annie to be more a part of these things more and more. Because I think my favorite podcast, even Joe Rogan's my favorite one, Jamie's involved. And Jamie is a big part of it. Without Jamie, it wouldn't be as good. Yeah. And so I have Annie for a lot of reasons. One being a useful aspect of this, even though I act like a kid and a child. But a lot of different angles. Like she thinks in such a way that's so different than me, and that's obvious because there's no one that thinks like me. But she just has such good intel on things and knows, especially the young stuff. Like when it comes to computers and stuff, I literally had to. She's Jamie on steroids for me. So yeah, it's really nice, and we just want to be consistent. And I think we're doing better, but we'll get even better soon.
Oh yeah.
But tell us. So what happened? We got Alex Gray, which is an old friend of mine as well, but he grew up in her town, so I thought it'd be a easy connection, and it went really good.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we had Alex come, and I've heard bits and pieces about his career. I've known Alex for a few years now. I did his podcast in like 2020, like kind of COVID era, which was how I knew how to do it for this.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. But yes, Alex came in and we kind of just went through his entire career and what it was like looking up to like Greg and
he's such a personable. His personality is such a cute little guy.
Oh yeah, he's the easiest person to just start a conversation. If you just get him talking about something, he'll just go.
He's probably the happiest kid ever. Like he's always happy, right?
Yeah.
Now, I would like to see him on a bad day where he's like, man, I'm just not really having a good day. Like it's like Pat O'Connell and my crew. Even when he's mad, it sounds cute. He's like, man, I'm just really mad. And you're like, that doesn't sound like you're mad.
It's funny because Alex like kind of mentors and coaches a couple of the Groms that I film at home, and hearing them like rant to him, or they might exaggerate, fudge the truth a little bit. He knows it immediately too, because he was like, I was that. I know exactly what you're doing. And to hear him, he calls them out, but does it in such a nice way that
it's not, they respond good.
It's very constructive.
Yeah.
If anything, it feels like when your mom's like, I'm really disappointed in you. Right. Rather than being like, hey, don't do that. It's like, oh, I've let Alex down. Yeah, I feel bad.
Yeah, he seems like he's going to be taking care of kids forever. It seems like it's his
calling. He's like the ultimate role model.
He's such a good kid.
He does such good things for so many people.
Yeah, for all you people out there, he's a surfer from the South Bay, incredible amateur career, and then started charging huge waves, charged all around the globe to go after big swells. And now he just goes down to Mexico and gets the longest barrels with GoPros, and he has such a cool life.
Next was our little double up at Kalani's house. We had Kalani and Blair Conklin.
Kalani Rob, best human ever. Like he's the Beavis to my butthead. Having to have him talk about the wave pool was the most exciting thing about that interview, because we're going to have him on every season no matter what. But just to hear the Palm Springs Club, everyone's excited. It's such a cool venture. And Kalani is the one that developed it with Shane Magnuson. And so to get in some of that insight was so fun. And to hear, him rambling is about anything is fun. Like Kalani, he gets on a tangent and me and him can go on for hours. So
Kalani did like 4 outfit changes during the course of that.
He's a pro's pro though. This guy can get it done when it comes to pros anything. Because like if he on Instagram, he's one of the GOATs. He's freaking best bodyboarder of all time, as a joke that we always say. But yeah, just a go-getter, good human, great family man. I'm the godfather of his daughter. I can't say enough good things about him, but you'll have Kalani Rob on this podcast once a season, maybe twice. So a big shout out to him.
Yeah, and then we had Blair came in right after Kalani.
Blair Conklin. And I got him on the podcast because he's one of my favorite YouTube go-getters. Like when I turn on my TV, the first videos that come on are Blair, because he's a skimboarder. I don't know if everyone out there knows what that means, but it's where you literally run off the beach, throw down a little skimboard, and you jump on it, and then go out to the wave, turn around on the wave, and get barrel, do airs. So it's like you could literally hang out with your girlfriend on the beach in a towel and be like, hey, I'll be right back, there's a wave. And you run out, hit the wave, come in, and get right back up to the towel where your girlfriend is and just jump off and have a beer. I was jealous when I saw this guy because he's surfing without getting wet. I was like, no, you don't have to paddle. My biggest thing about surfing is the paddling. I'm like, there's so much paddling. So, that was an amazing podcast just to get a different side of surfing. Like he's only 1 or 2 skimboarders in the world that are even relevant, and he's the best in the world. So I love his style, cool kid, amazing interview. It was really fun.
Yeah, he was really fun to talk to. And Kalani even said in his interview right before Blair came to the house that he thinks people like that are the future of surfing.
They are. I know. Kalani actually, yeah, you're right. He was like, the best surfer in the world is going to come out of skimboarding or something, or riding those kind of boards. He's like, the skimboard, there's something to it. And Kalani, usually he's a little bit stoned out of his mind like me, but he's usually right. And Kalani usually is, you're like, he's talking and you're like, I don't know if that's true. And then the next day you're like, damn it, he was right. Like Kalani's a freaking gnarly person. And then who was after that?
And after that, we had Herbie Fletcher. So actually, it's Herbie and Dibby Fletcher.
We had a big season.
We did.
Crazy. I got Herbie on the podcast because, are you kidding? He's one of the most legendary dudes in our industry for his family, his connections, the Astrodeck, the gription that I always loved, and then Wave Warriors. Wave Warriors was his films he made in the 80s that changed everything for me. Wave Warriors 3 was the movie that made me want to be a pro surfer. So having him on, and then his wife is one of the coolest ladies in the world, the most truthful, right to your face. The reason why Nathan Fletcher and Christian are the way they are is Dibby, and she got in there on it and told us so much insight about her family, the Hoffmans, and oh man, it was so much fun. I actually have more people that have watched that on my Instagram by like 20,000 comparable to these other guys. And I'm like, what? So people really attach themselves to the Herbie one and Dibby, and shout out to them. And we're definitely having her on again.
Oh yeah, we have to have a Dibby podcast for sure.
And then after that, we got down into the San Clemente vibe, and we got Crosby Calapento, just qualified. Big shout out to all the San Clemente Groms right now.
It was cool that we got Crosby right before he qualified too. So the whole episode he was talking about how much it would mean to him to qualify and like how that was his goal. And then like 2 months later, he did it.
No, we timed these things kind of good, and they're all an accident. That's what's so funny about this podcast in my life. I wasn't planning on any of this stuff happening, like Colby winning right after we did it. The Crosby one, he's like, yeah, next week I find out if I make it, and he did. And so it's like that was another one of those things where like, we're a good luck charm, but not really. These are just amazing athletes.
If you want to do well in your career, come on the podcast.
Yeah. So far, we haven't been a jinx. In the sports world, there's a lot of people that won't go on shows because it jinxes them and stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you right now, so far so good. We're like 3 for 3.
Yep.
And then after that one, I think we went right back into Cole, right?
We had Cheeto on first.
I can't believe we had the best season.
We really had a good one.
I'm glad that we do these reviews because I actually can't believe we pulled this off. Cheeto Vera. His first name is Marlon. Marlon Cheeto Vieira, right? Is that how you say the whole name? Marlon Cheeto Vieira.
I think so.
Big shout out to this guy. I mean, Cheeto, I met at Kelly's Wave pool a month before we did it.
Yeah.
And talk about good luck charms. We're talking, we might even have a world champ on our podcast at this point.
Put that on our resume.
Insane.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was the best season ever. And I can't
Oh,
even
well, no, we had, our last one was Cole Hauschman.
And then Cole Hauschman is a young San Clemente upstart, and he's 6'4".
6'4", I think they said like 2.
Handsome as hell, and he's gonna. I mean, I'm putting my money on him. He's gonna be top 5 this year, and that's another good luck charm. So Cole, no pressure. Just hold it down for the boys and girls, and yeah, I mean, what an incredible season. So we're gonna cap it off pretty well.
Yeah, I think this next episode, you guys are you've been asking for it, so you're gonna love it. And then just, I mean, outside of the guests we're partnered with our friends over at Millions. And next season, we're going to try to do a few like live broadcasts. We're looking at doing, what was that one? It was like an MMA one that you liked. It was like they do like live commentating on like a
Fight Companion?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Rogan Fight Companion, but we're going to do Surf Companion during live surf events, have like a few of the heads of state, if you will, and just talk shit while the contest is on. So you have a different outlet to watch while you're watching Pipe Masters and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
yeah, that's going to be insane.
We've got merch on Millions now. So
Millions is the website, right?
Yeah, it's millions.co.
You can get Let's Potty
we
shirts.
have our links are all over our social media and stuff. So just go hit the links, get some Let's Potty merch, and we have more merch coming next year. That's going to be super cool and rad. So stick with us.
Yes.
And it'll be
thank you. And I hope you guys liked the last episode, and we'll see you guys early after the new year. Peace out. Look at the sun's coming in hot.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
Love you guys.